Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be doing a how to build for Lance. So, Lance is the first UR character from the Four Knights of the Apocalypse story, which is pretty cool, and we'll probably be getting our second one pretty soon at the end of New Year, or towards New Year. So first we'll go over his stats like we normally do. This is with attack crit. Pierce rate is pretty good. Okay, cool. Pierce rate is pretty good. Resistance is mediocre. It's quite mediocre. Crit resistance is... crit chance, it's okay. It's like standard for characters nowadays, like 120, 130. Well, about 120 to 125 is what I consider like standard and all good. Anything above that I consider quite good. Anything above 140 I consider to be extremely good. 267 crit down with attack crit. It's okay. It's on the lower end compared to some characters we have, like Demon King Melee or Vittoria, who like push 270 to like can push up to 290, which is absurd. Crit resistance wise, it's okay. Standard stuff. Crit defense, it's not bad. 100 plus, I always say, is pretty good. Lifesteal, 11% is quite decent. Once again, a character with no outfits, no weapons, no nothing. 11% is quite good. When it comes to skills, he has a new one. So he actually has two new skills. One called Impact, which is 3 times pierce rate plus it ignores resistance, which it's okay. It's actually pretty good against going against another Lance that's on either a fairy team or a human team, because once again, Lance boosted defense if he's on a human team, but also if you're versing a fairy team, they're probably going to have Glocks, which once again increases defense, so that'll be quite useful. And his AoE, where most of his damage comes from, which is literally just called Penetration, it's just a very weird skill name, I'm sorry, with pierce rate. But okay, attack is 50% when using the skill, so you get 50% attack boost when using the skill, and increased damage dealt by half the pierce rate. So you sort of want as much pierce rate as possible. That's where once again his passive comes into play, and we'll go to that in a second. But it's a standard skill, it's okay, but once again, his passive and his damage are heavily reliant on the fact that he is high ult level. And we'll get into that in a second, but that is a huge problem with him, and that is, I would say, it's probably the only real. He's the only UR in the entire game where you need to have him higher than, you literally need him to have higher than 1.6 to him to be actually half decent. If you have him like 3.6, 4.6, he's not too bad. 1.6, he's basically completely useless. He's still useful, like don't get me wrong, but like if you were to compare him with like a 1.6 Millum and a 1.6 Lance, I would take 1.6 Millum any day. Because 1.6 Millum can put out absurd amounts of damage without it being tied to a passive. This guy roots so heavily reliant on this number here. This number is what makes everything. Like, it can be the difference between you one-shotting enemy and you having a forfeit because you can't kill the tank turn 1. Like, that's how broken it is. But overall, this bit of the passive is what I like. Increase the hero's attack ability stats by 50%. That's once again the same for every ult level. And the hero gains 3 piercing arrows, which is something we'll see in his passive in a second. And inflicts damage to 500%. The multiplier itself isn't too bad. It does have the... what effect does it have? It has impact on the actual ultimate as well, so it's already 3 times pierce rate. The 3 piercing arrows is another 300% pierce rate, so it's 900% pierce rate. Ignores resistance, and then the mark of... Insight, it's something we'll get to in a second. No, what was I going to look at? Oh, it's ult scaling. We'll have a look at his ult scaling. So, at 2.6, you get the same thing, so multiplier goes up by 50%. Your death damage is now 70% instead of 60%. And now enemies that are marked with the mark of Insight also lose 20%. I think they have a 20% damage lower. I'm pretty sure that's a... Yeah. Okay, no, it's a 3.6. So at 3.6, you get the damage lower. Make sure I didn't skip it. Yeah. So at 3.6, you get the damage lower, 70% multiplier still. The actual ult level, the ult multiplier itself is now 600, so it's a 50% multiplier increase per ult level. We'll just go to 6.6, where it's 100% of the damage you deal. 5.6. So realistically... you want him like 4.6 plus. Like 4.6 is a very good ult level for Lance. It's quite useful. You get the damage lower. You get 8% damage, which is all you're really going to need. You don't really need 100%. Not only that, but his ultimate, you still get the attack rate stat boost. You still get the 3 piercing arrows, but now your multiplier is a little bit higher as well. Means it's going to hit a little bit harder. His ultimate isn't the strongest. It's not like Thor's or like Demon King Melee's or like even to his Escanors wasn't actually too powerful. But it's not like Melee's or Thor's where they can just nuke at like 2.6. His ultimate can be a little bit iffy, but once again, is not too bad, and I think he plays definitely more of a support DPS role rather than just a straight out DPS role, like characters like Melee and Thor and all those characters do. His passive applies insight on the hero at the start of the battle for 3 turns. The maximum HP is increased by 8% for each applicable ally participating in the battle. When an applicable ally uses a single target skill and deals damage, the mark of insight is applied for 3 turns to what maximum of 1 enemy. What this means is, you single target an enemy, if they get that, you single target another enemy, the mark will then go to that character. One slight problem: if you mark an enemy and you kill another enemy with a single target skill, the mark completely disappears. So, you know, let's just say you mark Sab, but then you kill Milan with an Escanor single target, the mark will disappear. I don't know why. It should be... that shouldn't happen in my opinion, but I guess that's just how they've done it. It's kind of stupid, but that's just how it is. In addition, each time an applicable ally deals damage to an enemy inflicted by the Mark of Insight during the ally's turn, the hero gains 1 piercing arrow, which we'll get to in a second. But it's how he deals lots of damage, basically. The start of the ally's turn, the hero's attack-related stats increased by 5% for each attack type skill in the enemy that the enemy has. It's not really too impactful. Like, you could have 9 attack skills, and it still doesn't really look like he's doing that much more damage. It's just the problem with Lance himself. He just doesn't seem like he puts out the damage that he's meant to put out. Breaks the teams he's on. Applicable allies are humans and fairies, and 4 knights, which is pretty good. He has been given 4 knights. Insight, applicable allies take 30% less damage. Once again, that is for 3 turns. Yeah, that is for 3 turns, so you get 30% damage reduction for 3 turns, which isn't bad. Human allies, defense-related stats, so this is where he sort of gets a little bit iffy. I do wish they sort of made a couple trade-offs with this passive. Human defense-related stats are increased by 15% for each one on the battlefield, so it's literally identical to OG Percival, if you remember OG Percival, which was 15% defense-related stats per human ally. Lance does the same. And then for every hero ally on the field, each one gets 5% extra basic stats, which is okay. I kind of wish that it was all the same, because let's just say they add a 4 Knights character in the future that is not human and is not fairy. They don't get anything from Lance at all, apart from the 30% damage reduction. That's all they get, which I think is a little bit off. Mark of Insight, so once again, when you mark an enemy, they actually lose 50% crit defense, which is kind of handy, because once again, Lance doesn't have the highest crit damage, so it's kind of nice. Piercing Arrow is 100% extra pierce rate. Bear in mind, he can have 3 of them, so 300% pierce rate boost, basically. And then all removed when he uses an AoE skill. So when he uses an AoE skill, that is not his ultimate, so when he uses the penetration skill here, it will... every single one of the stacks will disappear. You can actually deal the death damage without any stacks. The damage is just really abysmal, and that's the problem. His turn 1 damage is pretty bad. After like a turn or 2 of setup on a fairy team, he can put out some good damage. But once again, it's a fairy team, they don't have the highest CC, and he requires many turns of setup. He also has this, which is a new thing called a talent, which is something they've just recently added, where it reveals the enemy's skills on the ally's turn. When the talent is used, removes debuffs from the hero equal to the number of enemies participating in battle. So let's just say there's 3 enemies on the field, you pop it, Lance will remove 3 debuffs from himself. You can use it every 3 turns. It will show you their entire hand, so it shows you their hand for like the entire, I think it's for the entire turn, you get it. So you can, and also you can't use it when you've got a skill already played. What I mean by that is, once again, you have your 3 skills you can play. When you play it, when you press play on 1 skill, and once again you can now play 2 more, if you press the button, it won't let you do it. You have to have a whole empty hand and then play it, and then it will show you the cards. It only works in PvP, once again, that's all it really matters for. It also works in Hero Arena as well, which is actually pretty clutch, and I would actually say it's actually a really good thing about Lance. Defense boost on humans team, really nice. His damage is okay, and is actually quite good at getting rid of Gelder, but he's not too bad with that. And the fact that the Mark of Insight can be really handy for getting rid of specific threats, especially if, for example, Gelder, she isn't really a threat and she gets gold skill. Okay, you can Gelder merges a gold skill, you can get rid of Gelder. AM Melee merges a gold skill. Boom, you get rid of AM Melee over Gelder because Gelder hasn't pulled any cards. Stuff like that. And that's why it's quite kind of handy for Hero Arena, and I do highly recommend him for Hero Arena, no matter the ult level you have him. Gear-wise, you probably want to attack right. Unless you've got Nausean, I would not recommend getting this man HTB defense. His CC is okay, once again, it's just your standard UR-based CC, so you're looking at like 76 to like 77k. I don't think he's the highest in the game, which is Escanor, which is 78k. Escanor's the only 78k UR-based in the game, so I don't think he exceeds that. But once again, I would recommend attack crit only for the damage. Even in Hero Arena, I still run him attack crit. I can do 340k with attack crit with him, and it's definitely nice, because the damage he can deal and characters that he can get rid of, like Gelder. Gelder's such a big threat, especially on 340k. You can't use links. Gelder has Rotomiel. He's quite good at doing a lot of damage very quickly, especially mixed with Escanor and the new Light Percival as well. Outfits wise, I have none of them, but they're all okay. And those are just standard outfits. This one's my favourite. It just looks just really cool. The other ones are... Oh, this one's okay as well. So it gives me like Purgatory Barn vibes. This one's kind of mid, and this one's just his standard one, which you get for, of course, reaching 900 diamonds, spending 900 diamonds during this time. Of course, if you don't want to, you know, spend an extra 30 diamonds to get his outfit, let's say you do a full rotation of launch, you're not summoning on Nosian, you don't plan on summoning on Nosian, you don't really want to spend any more diamonds until New Year. If you wait till Lance disappears, this outfit will only cost you 20 diamonds, so instead of you going to spend an extra 30 diamonds on Nosian trying to pull for him and getting nothing, you can just wait and buy it for 20 diamonds at the end. Weapons wise, he has only 4 weapons, so he will get either a Hall Pass outfit or maybe the Christmas outfit for his 5th weapon, and he has 5 headgears because of course he has this Affinity headgear, which is absolutely horrendous. Outfits wise, headgear, lifesteals, not the best, an extra 5%, 16% in total. That's not bad actually. I go credit where credit is due. He's not a bad character. My problem is that you need him high dupe for him to be usable. He's the only UR in the game that sort of has that requirement, which is why I rate him so low compared to all the others. It's not like with Escanor you can only get 1 stack of attack related stats if you're 1/6. You can only get 2 attack related stacks if you're 3/6, and then if you're 5/6 you get 3, and then if you're 6/6 you can get 4 somehow. Right? That's not how that works, and that's why I feel like for me Lance is a little bit lower than where he should be. I do feel like they should have maybe reworked it a little bit. Maybe not have that based on maybe not have the death damage, the amount based on the old level, but have the amount of pierce rate you get per piercing arrow instead. So it still would have affected his overall damage, but in my opinion, it would have been maybe a little bit less impactful than, you know, reducing the damage it can deal by 40%. But anyway, that's it. Lance isn't a bad character. Of course, if you want to rank him HP defense, you can, once again, for PvP, if you want to run a Fairies team and geared, or if you are struggling for Hero Arena to reach the high CC margins, you can run him HP defense, but I wouldn't really recommend it. I'd recommend sticking for attack crit. Escanor can do quite well with HP defense. Arthur, once again, HP defense is pretty good for him, and Percival's good with HP defense anyway. But anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next one.